So to introduce our keynote speaker for this morning, I would like to call on the Director for the Center for Business Research and Development of the Ramon V. Del Rosario College of Business of De La Salle University, Dr. Reynaldo Bautista, Jr.
I will now introduce our keynote speaker for this morning. Ramon R. Del Rosario Jr. is the President and CEO of FINMA Incorporated and FINMA Corporation. He is the Chairman of the Board of Trustees of FINMA Education Holdings Incorporated, Arroyo University, Cagayan de Oro College, University of Iloilo, University of Pangasinan, Southwestern University, St. Jude College, Republican College, and Rizal College of Laguna. He is also President of the Board of Commissioners of PT and Phil Management, Vice Chairman of FINMA Property Holdings Corporation, Chairman of United Pulp and Paper Company Incorporated of the Siam Cement Group, FINMA Microtel Hotels, Microtel Hospitality Incorporated, and other FINMA-managed companies. He currently serves as a member of the Board of Directors of the Bank of the Philippine Islands. He served as Secretary of Finance of the Philippines from 1992 to 1993. He is the Chairman of the Philippine Business for Education. He was the Chairman of the Makati Business Club, the Integrity Initiative, National Museum of the Philippines, and Ramon Magsaysay Award Foundation. He was elected as the most outstanding student of the Philippines in 1967, one of the 10 outstanding young men of the Philippines in 1978, the MAP Management Man of the Year in 2010, and received the Business as a Noble Vocation Award in November 2018, awarded by the International Christian Union of Business Executives, or UNI-APAC, at the 16th UNI-APAC World Congress in Lisbon, Portugal. Mr. Del Rosario obtained his BSc Accounting and AB Social Sciences degrees magna cum laude from the De La Salle University and master's degree in Business Administration from the Harvard Business School. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Mr. Ramon R. Del Rosario Jr. to deliver the plenary session this morning titled Navigating Business and Management in the Philippines During Times of Uncertainty.
Thank you very much, and a pleasant good morning to all. I'm Miriam College President, Ambassador Lula Del Rosario, Dr. Oscar Bulaang Jr., Executive Director of the Governor Jose B. Fernandez Jr. Ethics Center of Ateneo de Manila University, and co-chair of this 8th National Business and Management Conference, Dr. Emilina R. Sarial, Dean, Ramon V. Del Rosario College of Business, De La Salle University, and President, Philippine Academy of Management, and co-chair of this 8th National Business and Management Conference, Dr. Reynaldo A. Bautista Jr., Director, Center for Business Research and Development, De La Salle University, and co-chair of this 8th National Business and Management Conference, my colleagues in FINMA, FINMA officers and business unit heads, representatives of the RVR College of Business of De La Salle University, of the Governor Jobo Fernandez Ethics Center of the Ateneo de Manila University, Miriam College and Philippine Academy of Management, faculty members and graduate students from participating business schools, friends, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant morning to everyone. This year, as I'm sure you know, has presented us with the greatest economic and social challenge in recent history. The pandemic has redesigned the economic landscape, dictated what industries would thrive, and compelled us to rethink our business models. Nobody was exempted from the impact of this invisible adversary. As of July, 1 out of 5 adult Filipinos had lost their jobs due to the health crisis. Those at the bottom of the pyramid have been affected the most. Many children in low-income households have been forced to stop going to school. whether because of lack of budget or access to learning resources. Daily wage earners who have lost their source of income have been forced out of their homes. Transportation restrictions meant people had to walk for hours just to reach hospitals or their place of work. These stories go on and on across industries and sectors. It is apparent that this pandemic will have consequences for decades. Given all this, everyone now talks of a new normal, the next normal, and even at the FINMA Group, we talk of a better normal. I would like to propose that we simply continue the pursuit of a better world despite all the challenges we face. The pandemic, after all, is not and should not be the defining moment of the coming decades, unless we choose to make it so. My challenge not only to the FINMA Group, but also to all of you at this conference, is to remain focused instead. Pandemic or no pandemic, super typhoon or no super typhoon, with or without Trump, on making lives better. Climate change, unbridled poverty, greed in business and corruption in government, to my mind, remain the roots of our growing global upheavals. Just think of it. In countries where there is strong democratic and relatively corrupt free government, and where poverty is addressed, the COVID-19 response has been most effective. Incidentally, these same countries are very conscious of their environment as well. As we enter our 9th month of grappling with this crisis, I must say that I have never been as proud of our FINMA family as I am now, today. Even in these trying times, we tried our best to continue making lives better. We began with our people, ensuring their safety and the safety of their families. We rolled out work from home arrangements and immediately sought to see that their urgent needs are attended to by releasing salaries in advance, upgrading health plans, implementing employee welfare initiatives, and ensuring better communications across and down the lines. In times of crisis, constant communication is key. At the same time as our health professionals and frontline workers continued to put their lives at risk for all of us, the FINMA Group and our inspiring partner organizations worked hard to respond to the needs of those who are most affected by the health crisis. Through FINMA Reaches Out 2020, our community response to the COVID-19 pandemic, we supported national and local initiatives such as Philippine Business for Social Progress and Caritas Manila's online fundraising concert, Bayanihan Musikahan, the Kada Uno initiative of the Lasallian community, Tanging Yaman Foundation, the Roman Catholic Archbishop of Lingayen and Dagupan, the Ramon V. Del Rosario C Club awardee Melissa Yap's Bunny Project, and De La Salle Philippines. Since last March, we have provided some 6.5 million pesos worth of personal protective equipment for our frontliners, development testing kits, and meals for healthcare workers. About 14.5 billion pesos worth of groceries, sacks of rice and other food packs for vulnerable communities, and almost 12 billion pesos worth of assistance for our no work, no pay staff. Continuing to the second phase of FINMA Reaches Out 2020, we have now focused our resources on our displaced employees who continue to be buffeted by the pandemic. We partnered with the National Wages Productivity Commission, CARD MRI, and our own Treasury Group to provide our janitors and messengers with basic skills training, mentoring sessions, and startup assistance funds to guide them towards starting their own micro enterprises. But FINMA has been dedicated to making lives better far before this pandemic. We at FINMA have always tried to run profitable businesses while remaining consistent with our core values of integrity, patriotism, competence, and professionalism. In all our ventures, we consider not just our consumers and partners, but also the larger communities and, of course, the environment. Today, to underscore the message of contributing to nation building through our businesses and our Making Lives Better mission, let me focus briefly on FINMA Education. 16 years ago, we established FINMA Education to provide education to the underserved youth of the country, those whose families live on less than 15,000 pesos a month, those whose parents never went to college, those who were seeking admission to college with grade 4 competencies in reading, math, and science, but who, without access to quality education, would not be able to lift themselves and their families out of poverty. In the school year 2019-2020, we were serving over 72,000 of these students in 7 schools in the Philippines and 1 school in Indonesia. 72,000 is not a number we take lightly. This number represents humbling stories, inspiring ambitions, and one promise, our promise to do everything we can to make their lives better. So when the pandemic disrupted the education system in mid-March, it was not merely about business for us. It was about the 72,000 futures that were on the line. And so we went to work. In the past few months, FINMA Education has been going above and beyond to make sure that learning continues despite the global pandemic and the various ways it has disrupted our lives. Education in times of crisis is not optional, but in fact, essential. As we saw during the 2011 flooding in Thailand and the 2014 Ebola crisis in West Africa, closing schools, even briefly, can lead to lower academic achievement, increased teen pregnancy, and child labor exploitation. Many students will also not be able to ever return to school. We could not afford to let any of these negative consequences happen to our students. And so, from Cabanatuan to Cagayan de Oro to Karawang in West Java, Indonesia, we prepared for all possible scenarios. Again, our students are not privileged. They do not have internet connections at home, and in some cases, they do not even have phones, let alone computers. As children of working class parents and OFWs, they are also very vulnerable to economic downturns. We had to make sure that our strategies were aligned with these key facts. And so this school year, we introduced 2 flexible learning models, flex learning and remote and distance or RAD learning. These models rely on physical courseware, printed materials like activity sheets that the students work on independently. But for both modes of learning, there is strong teacher support. Teachers do regular checkups via phone calls and messaging apps to keep students motivated and on track. However, even messaging apps pose a problem, as many students could not afford mobile data. Thus, we partnered with 2 leading telecommunications companies to provide students with 10 gigs of mobile data every month. At no additional charge, students can access Facebook Messenger and G Suite tools to do their coursework and communicate with their teachers and peers. For students without devices, we partnered with Bukas, an education financing platform, to provide affordable gadget installment plans. We are proud of what we have achieved so far. Our school network has an 81% average first-time passing rate for licensure exams, with also some 81% of students getting hired a year after graduation. These, to my mind, are astonishing achievements considering the grade 4 competencies of our entering freshmen and the fact that the accountancy board passing rate of the first university we acquired in the year before acquisition was actually 0. We have also had more than 90 board exam top-notchers since our entry into education in 2004. And recently, in the next to last physician licensure exams, 3 of our Southwestern University FINMA students made it to the top 10, in fact, landing 8th, 9th, and 10th. We want to make sure that these good results continue despite the pandemic. I am pleased to say that our work in education has attracted widespread interest, including from multilateral institutions like the Asian Development Bank and FMO, the Netherlands Development Finance Institution, that have both invested in our schools to assist us in our future expansions, not only in the Philippines, but throughout Southeast Asia. Both institutions have expressed admiration for our unique business model that delivers high-quality education that is accessible to the poor, while demonstrating not only its ability to generate reasonable returns, but also its scalability with its total enrollment, which did well this school year despite the pandemic. Finally, with some degree of pride, allow me to share with you that in November 2018, as mentioned earlier, at their International Congress in Lisbon, an organization called UNIAPAC, or in English, the International Christian Union of Business Executives, founded in 1931, and now with 30,000 members in 38 countries, mainly for our work in providing quality education for the poor, conferred on me their first ever global award for business as a noble profession. It was a great and unexpected honor. As we navigate the first semester, we maintain a careful optimism. We are optimistic because we have prepared as best we can and according to what we know our students need. But we are careful because we know that there are more challenges ahead. We are counting on everyone to ensure that students, all students, will receive the quality education they deserve, no matter the circumstances. There is more I would like to share, like our FINMA National Scholarship Program and the full support we have been giving to the initiatives of an organization that I founded called Philippine Business for Education. These will be for another time, perhaps, as my other objective here today is to tell you more about the Ramon V. Del Rosario C-Club Awards that FINMA and the De La Salle Ramon V. Del Rosario College of Business, with support from the Junior Chamber International Manila, launched in 2018. I believe a video on this has been shown earlier, or if not, will be shown after I speak. In case you are all wondering, the late Ambassador Ramon V. Del Rosario, who is fondly remembered as RVR, was not just my father. He is the father to the FINMA Group, and I believe a father of Filipino management and entrepreneurship. If you want to know more about him, there is a book by Roel Landingin entitled The Making of an Entrepreneur that I hope you will find time to read. Through this book, you will better understand why it is from RVR that we at FINMA gain inspiration for our mission of making lives better. The C-Club Awards honor the contributions of RVR to entrepreneurship and nation building. And this is why we launched it on the occasion of his 100th birthday. More importantly, though, it hopes to honor his invaluable contributions by helping raise up today's young entrepreneurs who are passionate about building better communities and a better Philippines through their journeys in doing business. We look for the most promising 25 to 39-year-old youth leaders who have demonstrated positive impact on the community or the nation by their works and have the potential of becoming future Ramon V. Del Rosario Nation Building awardees and join the ranks of stellar captains of industry, previous awardees like Washington Sisip, Senen Makani, Aris Alip, Jaime Augusto Sobel de Ayala. Our first awardees were honored last year, and two of them will speak to you later. Unfortunately, the awards this year became yet another victim of the pandemic and had to be postponed to next year. Before the lockdowns, we already had 60 nominees. The nomination process has become a continuing one as such, and will now culminate in the second awards night, hopefully come July 2021. I enjoin you all to nominate among your ranks, especially those in your fields of management and business research, who can or are quickly becoming the spark that ignites more nation building, ang ating magigiting na siklab. At FINMA, we take to heart our mission of making lives better. And we believe every one of us has a vital role to play. And I would like to close by reiterating my call earlier that you too, all of you, have a distinct role to play in making lives better. Pursue your dreams and aspirations with compassion, cooperation, and faith. With God's grace, we will be able to build a better life together. And who knows, by making lives better, you could become our next Siklam. Once again, a pleasant morning to all and have a productive conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Del Rosario, for that very inspiring message. Indeed, your call for us to pursue our dreams and aspirations with compassion, cooperation, and faith will definitely resonate with us well after this conference. So now we will open the session for questions. For those who are tuning in with us via Facebook Live, please send in your questions in the comment section. For those in the Zoom video call with us, kindly forward your name, affiliation, and questions through the Q&A feature of Zoom. So, Sir Ramon, hi, sir. Yes,
Hello.
morning
Good-
again.
Hi.
Our first question is from Doc Emmy Sarial, the Dean of the College of Business. She says, thank you, Sir Ramon, for a very encouraging speech. Please give our business and management students and faculty your advice on how to cope with the difficulty of doing fully online mode. With the quarantine fatigue experienced by most, if not all students, how can they keep up so they can persevere until we see the end of this pandemic?
That's a tough question, but let me try. We're all in the same boat, and all of us are trying our best to cope. We're learning as we go along. I guess we pick the pieces that work well and adjust on those items that need adjustment. I think it's important that we keep our focus on what it is we're trying to achieve, and I think keep our patience and our balance, knowing hopefully that these vaccines, which are showing very positive results, will soon become available to the Philippines. And I am pretty confident that sometime in 2021, we will begin to see the benefits of the vaccines. We too in FINMA Education are looking forward to face-to-face education again. And for those who are at work, while there have been significant benefits to being able to do meetings and consultations online, I think there is, at the end of the day, no substitute for face-to-face interaction, because we are all after all human beings. So my advice simply is be patient, make the most of the current situation. There is little we can do to change the fundamental facts that we cannot yet engage in face-to-face conversations and discussions to a large extent. But the end is seemingly in sight. And having gone through almost 9 months already, maybe the next few months, we have learned to cope. And as I said, just make the most of the situation and be patient. There are no secret formulas. Just look at the positive side and hang in there. And the future will be brighter. And have faith that the future brings promise of better days.
Very well said, Sir Ramon. Okay, we have another question here from Dr. Benti Hanki, faculty member of the Ramon V. Del Rosario College of Business.
Yeah.
And he says, despite our strong economic growth pre-pandemic, we have seen that our country's problem of social inequality has been tough on majority of our people during the pandemic. In line with your vision of a better normal, how do we as educators improve our business students' abilities to critically but constructively engage our mission of building a more inclusive society post-pandemic?
Yeah, I think we should take encouragement. Hi, Ben, by the way. Nice to have you here. Um, I think we should be encouraged by developments even within the business community itself. I think there is not only growing awareness, but very strong awareness at this point of the need for business to think of their overall stakeholders rather than the old norm of just talking about stockholder value. So, first, there is broad understanding of the need for business to be more responsible. We like to point to our own involvement in education as an example of a business group that is taking its social responsibilities very seriously. Of course, we run our education arm as a business because otherwise it would not be sustainable. But it is a business model that is addressed to the requirements, the needs of society, which is good quality education for those who are not able to access good quality education otherwise. So more and more businesses, obviously a sterling example is the Ayala Group, who has done so much, not only in terms of direct assistance to the needy and in terms of mobilizing the business community towards cooperative undertakings. But as educators, I think there are several practical things. One is to convince our students to make the most of the education opportunities that are given to them, because I think there is nothing as valuable as education that can serve as passports to better lives and a reduction of the inequality in society. I think many of our people can do much better in life and make their own lives better by making the best use of the education opportunities that they are provided. And that is why we have selected in FINMA education as one of our main missions. But the second point is maybe some additional infusion of ethical or moral lessons or discussions in our business courses, where we talk quite a bit about the need for business executives to have a social conscience and to worry about greater society. I think the times when business talked about returns and building up stockholder value only as their main mission, those times are gone. So I really think even if we are thinking of self-interest, I think business really has to make it its business to worry about the larger society and make its contribution where it thinks it can best do that. And there is no one solution for everyone, but there certainly are all kinds of opportunities for every businessman, every entrepreneur, whether small or large, every business owner. There are all kinds of opportunities available, starting with making sure that your own employees are well compensated and fairly compensated, that you provide them as much assistance in having better lives as possible. Things like medical assistance and insurance, for example, or a living allowance to make sure that they're able to live decent lives outside of work. Things of that sort. But in a broader sense, the larger companies, of course, have the opportunity to do many more things. But I think this whole idea that business must participate in nation building and in making lives better, to my mind, should be one of the key messages. And I hope in the RVR College of Business at De La Salle, we are imparting that message very strongly and passionately all the time. Thank you.
That's definitely a very important core value within FINMA, and we're very happy to know about that. So, sir, there's another question here from Miss Bea De Ocampo, one of our attendees, and she says, I was impressed to see patriotism as one of FINMA's core values. Definitely, this value is what many first world countries have that made them grow to where they are. How do you think can we encourage this value to get into consciousness of the ordinary Pinoy? Pinoys are more para sa pamilya, and this is something I hear many people say all the time, especially when giving a public speech. So how do you think can we increase this pamilya value into the Pinoy to grow into a bigger pamilya value to include the country?
Again, that is an excellent question, and I talk about it quite a bit. Even in our schools, I talk about what patriotism means. And it means obviously much more than just attending flag ceremonies and putting your arm on your breast when you sing the national anthem. I think of patriotism as each one of us thinking of ourselves as concerned and active citizens of this country. We cannot be satisfied by just complaining about our leaders and not do anything ourselves about improving the quality, improving what we can for our own country. Each one of us has all kinds of opportunities available to us in our day-to-day lives. Even just being honest in the way we do things, even in dealing with policemen or in following rules and things like that to start with. But there's one major exercise that I'd like to encourage, particularly students, to think about, which is participating in elections. Many of our students don't bother to even register as voters, but many of them are very vocal about complaining about how bad our country is, or even thinking about migrating to other countries. Don't you think we should all of us should contribute to making this a better country? And if we all do our part, I think we will make a difference. The students of the Philippines are a very large number. And if they simply make up their minds to participate actively in the affairs of our country, I think our country will be much better. So to our students, to our businessmen, to our entrepreneurs, there is so much that we can do. And that to me is what patriotism is all about. It's all of us taking seriously our role as citizens, as Filipinos, and doing all we can to make our country a better and a stronger country, and making the lives of our fellow Filipinos better to the extent that we can.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We have one more question here from Dr. Ramon Habaradas from DLSU. So many social enterprises find it difficult to scale because of their desire to achieve both social and economic goals. So how can big businesses like FINMA help these social enterprises to scale to provide greater impact?
Yeah, that is, again, an excellent question. Raymond, by the way, congratulations. I understand you recently got a distinction as one of the outstanding researchers, I believe, in the whole world. So congratulations for that. Yes, scale is an issue. One of the things we encourage people to do through organizations like Philippine Business for Social Progress is bringing business and social enterprises together. By linking up, we are able to assist social enterprises find the right markets, or at least scale up their markets, link up so that the supply chain is made more efficient, so the delivery of products, for example, from farm to market, etc., are made more efficient and can be done in a larger scale. Recently, for example, a group of us CEOs have just launched something we're calling the Hunger Project. And this is a project precisely designed to address the hunger issue in the Philippines. And this, by the way, is an undertaking that involves Ateneo and De La Salle working together with Caritas Manila, the RVR College of Business of La Salle, and Philippine Business for Social Progress, among other groups. And we have also enlisted the assistance of the Armed Forces of the Philippines to assist us in the logistics. These are the types of cooperative arrangements, I think, that might be very productive if we pursue them successfully. What we intend to do in this Hunger Project, for example, is to look at projects that are already being undertaken to see which ones are looking quite successful and to see what interventions might be appropriate to allow them to scale up precisely and make their projects even more impactful. So my answer really basically is linking up social enterprises with business enterprises through organizations like Philippine Business for Social Progress and this Hunger Project that we have recently launched. These are attempts at doing precisely that. So maybe the RVR College of Business can also participate in activities of that sort to further accelerate this process of linking groups together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Ramon. We very much look forward to the Hunger Project, no? And thank you for sharing with us all your insightful messages and advice for all our business students. So again, I'm afraid this is all the time that we have for our question and answer portion with Mr. Del Rosario. At this juncture, on behalf of the organizing committee of the 8th National Business and Management Conference, I would like to express our appreciation by presenting this digital certificate to Mr. Del Rosario. So this certificate of appreciation is awarded to Mr. Ramon Del Rosario Jr. for delivering the keynote address titled Plenary Session A, Navigating Business and Management in the Philippines During Times of Uncertainty, during the 8th National Business and Management Conference held last November 27 to 28, 2020 via Zoom video conferencing. The theme of the conference is Reimagining the Next Normal, Business and Management in the Philippines During Times of Uncertainty. Signed, Dr. Emelina Sarial, Dr. Antonio Lopez, and Dr. Oscar Bulaong Jr. Thank you very much, Sir Ramon, for being with us this morning.
Very much. Thank you all.
Thank you.